Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome. Happy New Year. Happy 2022 to each and every one of you all listening. Every last one of my subscribers, viewers, everyone who's been paying attention to the show on my podcast, on all the podcast platforms, as well as on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. Happy New Year again to you all. Hope you all are being very safe and having a wonderful New Year so far. I know we're still living in very troublesome and very uncertain times, but I think more on the positive side is on the horizon for us. And so I'm looking forward to it. I want to just make this brief announcement to you all, let you all know what's to come for this from this podcast show and what you guys can look forward to and what you can look more so forward to in the future as it pertains to repeated discussions that I've had with most of my interviewers and panel guests that's been on the show so far. I'm looking forward to many topics that I'll be bringing up that I haven't brought up just yet, and even touching bases back on some topics that I've talked about in the past, but making sure I'm going to even more depth and detail about those topics as the time progresses on. So again, thank you all so much for your support, your involvement, your interaction, your comments, thoughts, opinions, and even criticisms is very much so appreciated and welcome on this show. And I just want to let you all know that you all help me and will continue to help me become a better podcaster and a better guest, and even reaching out and even talking about even more topics, because there are a lot of topics to get to when it comes to helping us advance in the Black community. And that's what this show is about. This show is about three things. It's about providing helpful and informational content to all of our listeners who are in the Black community. It's also about discussing these topics with Black men and women of all professions, all industries, and all organizations as it pertains to these topics, and acknowledging those Black men and women who are in real time contributing to helping the culture move forward progressively in those areas of expertise that they're in, whether you're in finance, education, religion, whether you're in medicine, whether you're in technology, whether you're in politics, any particular industry that you're in and you're a Black man and woman, I am looking forward to speaking with you and interviewing you on this show to talk about those things that we can do better collectively and monolithically in the Black community as it pertains to helping us grow and be progressive in our areas. Because there are a lot of different things that we need to touch bases on, a lot of different things that we need to improve on collectively as a community in order to really help change the narrative about Black people, right? So the sooner we can be together to change the narrative about the Black community and about the Black man and woman, the better and the more easier it would be for society to have to make it a equal playing field for all of us. And so this is about fighting for equality in all aspects, in all industries, in all professions. And so I'm always interested in hearing from you guys. This is the main purpose of this show, is to have that communal involvement and interaction with you all, because your support, your viewership, your subscription all matters to me in more ways than you can ever know. And so on this show, this upcoming year, we'll be talking about many things that we haven't talked about just yet. So we'll be talking about the differences between HBCUs and predominantly white schools. We'll be talking about critical race theory. We'll be talking about more in depth how to create that generational wealth for us as Black people. How do we leave a financial legacy behind for our kids and grandkids and things of that nature? I'll be talking to educators about education burnout. Just what does it mean to be educated in today's time as a Black man or woman who is a teacher, especially in the post-secondary educational area. And so we'll be also talking about just restructuring the Black family. How can we best suit ourselves in terms of understanding what our roles are in the Black family when it comes to being the father, man, and being the husband, being the wife and the woman, being the mother, being the children, and making sure we understand what our places and roles are so that we're not continuously stepping out of place and basically breaking that structure, that strong foundation that we have built together collectively as a Black community. We'll be also talking about many other different things about in regards to law enforcement. How do we bridge the gap between law enforcement and law-abiding citizens when it comes to the right of bearing arms? How do we understand each other's perspective when it comes to being able to be a legal license to carry owner and not be a threat to law enforcement? We'll be talking about things like that. We'll be talking about the judicial system. How do we restructure this from within, from a judge standpoint, from an attorney standpoint? We'll be also talking about many additional things that we'll be talking about. For instance, let me just read to you all just the following things that I came up with in regards to those particular topics. So we'll be talking about cancel culture versus consequence culture. How do we draw the line in the sand to distinguish the difference between the two? Because that's very important to understand what you could be canceled for versus what you need to be held accountable for. Those are the type of things that needs to be drawn in the sand. We'll be also talking about the differences between an African-American and an African-born citizen here in America. And how do we bridge that gap between the two of us with the understanding that we're not much different? We both come from the motherland. Maybe they come directly, they are descendants from, they were born in Africa or parts of Africa, but we're descendants of Africa. And so as long as you are African-American, you are African by that nature and standard. So those type of things we'll be touching bases on. We'll be also talking about life insurance. How do we make sure that we are leaving a will, and we have a will in place, we have life insurance, not just health insurance, but life insurance as well, because we want to make sure that if something happens to us or our loved ones, we have money to help us cover those particular spending, those particular balances and those particular expenses that we would have to take care of, because funeral costs is going up, whether you guys know it or not, and whether you believe it or not. We have to be able to stop having these GoFundMes and more so have these things already established to help us pay for these things and leave some assets behind to our loved ones and family members. And also in a celebratory manner, we'll also be talking about just the salute to Black men, man, the salute to Black women. How do we restructure how we love each other in terms of maintaining a healthy friendship or a relationship, maintaining and also advancing in our careers and educations and things of that nature, but also making sure that we're planning trips, we're building together, we create memories together. These are the type of things we have to normalize in the Black community, because it's not normalized enough. And it only happens but so many times. And so we have to be very much so conscientious about how do we restructure those types of relationships and friendships in the Black community, where people are not envious of each other, not jealous, and not, backstabbing and things like that. That's not normal for us, and it won't become the normal anymore. It won't be the normal for us anymore moving forward. We'll be also talking about technology too, because technology, which is a field that I'm personally in and professionally in, and it touches near and dear to my heart, because that's something that is constantly in high demand. The medical field and the technology field is always in high demand when it comes to high paying jobs, high commodity candidates who have great resumes, who have been exposed to technology and medicine early on, but preferably in technology. We want to help expose our kids to technology, what it means to be a computer programmer, how to build apps, how to even build video games for that matter, what it means to be in these different areas of technology, and how you can best suit yourself in terms of making this a profession rather than just making it something that you just consuming on an everyday basis, right? So we'll be touching bases on that. My upcoming episode will be about home ownership and what does it mean to be a home buyer and even somewhat a home seller too. So having a discussion with my realtor personally, who was able to talk to me about the ins and outs of being a homeowner and what it means in this particular real estate industry that she's been a part of for over 20 years, and actually can speak a lot in depth about what it means to, what the differences are between renting and paying a mortgage, which ultimately is the goal that we all should have in terms of investing in this one particular asset that's going to be the biggest investment of your life. And so talking about those different things, talking about mental health in depth as well. I've already talked bases on it last year, but I'll be going into more in depth about that as it pertains to us being Black people walking with PTSD on an everyday basis, with every different thing that we have to walk around with and carry on our backs, as well as being able to still maintain a certain level of professionalism in our everyday jobs and just everyday way of living. So we'll be talking about that as well. We'll be talking about just the overall a healthier way of living life from a physical standpoint, right? So being able to diet better and eat healthier, and maintaining that healthiness throughout, the course of our lives, and not just for a New Year's Eve resolution. You know what I mean? So we'll be talking about those different things. and abundance of other topics too. So again, feel free to let me know. Reach out to me directly. You can inbox me on my Instagram page at speak to the mic _podcast show. You can also you can also reach out to me on my Facebook page at speak to the mic podcast show as well. Send me a message, man. Let me know what other topics that you would like to hear from me on this show, and what other guests you would like to have on the show as it pertains to those topics, because I know I don't have the answers to everything, but I am always willing and able to learn from those individuals who are in these areas to help us advance in these areas and get better as a Black community as a whole. And so your thoughts, your support, your subscription, your viewership, your comments, opinions, criticism are all welcome and appreciated more than you will ever know, because it's going to help us build on this show and help me as a host of this show, as a podcaster, to get better with these topics and talk more in depth about them in more phases than one or two, right? Excuse me, right? So I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys. I'm looking forward to my many guests that I've reached out to who will be on the show throughout this year, and looking forward to reaching out to more guests to be on the show as well, to talk about these many topics that we need to discuss to help us be monolithic and help us advance as a culture, as a Black community, because we have a lot of work to do, and it's almost not even enough time to do it, but it's going to take all of us to do it. And that's the bottom line to this particular podcast show. This show is truly for the culture. I want you all to make sure you all understand that in depth, and understand that you're going to have much more. It's going to be much more to talk about on this show as time progresses. And we're going to be touching more on each and every one of these topics until we get better in these areas and we cross those off and move on to the next thing. Then we're going to continue to have these discussions about it in detail. So again, Happy New Year, happy 2022 to each and every one of you all. I'm looking forward to talking to many of you. I'm looking forward to interacting with each and every one of you all. I'm hoping that you all are listening in. I hope you're sharing this. I hope that you all continue to share it and get many, many more people to listen in and share and subscribe and like, comment, all those wonderful things, because that's going to help this show grow even more, because this show is truly for the everyday Black men and women who are contributing to the culture in real time. And there's no slight or criticism to our Black celebrities, but they're not in the trenches with us on an everyday basis. We're in the trenches on an everyday basis in real time, making things happen in real time. And so I want to congratulate, celebrate, and acknowledge those Black men and women who are doing just that. So again, man, I appreciate you all in advance. Love you all in advance. Hope you all staying safe and wonderful and continuing to having a happy new year. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you pretty soon as the year progresses. So we'll be talking soon. If you like what you've heard from this week's episode and would like to hear more from previous episodes, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel below. You can also find me on social media platforms at Speak to the Mic _podcast show on Instagram and Speak to the Mic podcast show on Facebook. Be sure to also like, share, and subscribe to my Spotify page at Speak to the Mic podcast show. As I put out more thought-provoking content, your opinion and thoughts are needed and appreciated. I thank you all in advance for your support and look forward to hearing from you soon.